Here's the latest thing for truck mod. Okay, we have a little guest here. Latest thing for a truck mod, and this is a rear bumper. So aftermarket steel rear bumper. This one's made by UTVJ ATV, or at least that's the way that you see it on Amazon. So what are some background things here? As usual, with the Tacoma, we're doing sort of a budget repairs and budget installs. If you spend a whole crazy lot of money, things should work just fine, right? So the idea here is to see what on the budget end will work well. So this is in the area of the $300 bumpers, somewhere around there. This is not the cheapest or the most expensive in the area. It does look like it's about the highest rated. So I thought I'd give it a try, and we'll see how it works. I've got some questions and a couple of concerns, but that's what this video is about. If you are wondering about putting one on your Tacoma. A couple things about this one. You can see it's got the rear backup lights there already installed. So you have a pair on this side and a pair on the other. I actually didn't really want lights in here because I've already got some other auxiliary backup lights on. But it's hard to find a bumper that doesn't have some lights already there. Now they're just kind of your standard utility lights here, and somebody really wants something. Maybe later. So right about here, we've got there's two bolts that hold them in. So if you actually didn't want these, you could just unbolt them right there, and then pull them out and put them somewhere else, I guess. But again, two on each side, right in there. And one thing to notice about this bumper is it's all one piece. Some of these that are about like this, and the design of in this price range, they're very similar. Some of them are a multi-piece, and they'll kind of bolt together right around here. This one I do like. It's all one piece all the way across. See that? And so here's how it comes. There's the big box that came in. Here's what it actually looked like before I unpackaged it. But I gotta say, it was packaged up quite well. We can see the results of all they had. There was this big sleeve, big plastic sleeve here, and then also some nice padded packing for this. But anyway, we also have a box of hardware. Now, the box of hardware is here. Got these two shackles. So I do like that these are red. That's kind of what they came with there. And then sort of like a protective piece for the bottom of those. So we have two of those there because we do have these bits here where these are going to be sort of recovery points or toe points. Those are going to mount right in here, and then you'll have a good place to hook something up if you need to be pulled or pull someone else out. And then of course we have our mounting hardware in here. Right, lots of mounting hardware right in there. And actually, what do we have here? Maybe some sort of instructions. I have seen some things that the instructions on this are not very good. So my hope is to be able to figure it out and to save you the same pain, if any, that I might go through. But really that's what you're going to get. So a box of hardware here and the one-piece bumper with the backup lights already installed. You can see that it has some mounting points for your license plate, and also for your license plate lights will go right there as well. Powder coated finish. Everything looks pretty good. Looks pretty solid on this one. And how's it going to mount to the Tacoma? Well, we've got this bracket here on the back of the bolt. So we've got one hole here for the bolt and one right there. So you have two right there, and of course one on the other side. And then also right here in the middle, we've got these two here. So I want to kind of talk about those. Solid up at the top there, of course. And so these look like they're going to be our mounting points. And there's the other bracket on the other side. So pretty simple as far as how it mounts up. Now, let me mention some concerns. I did mention that among the lower cost bumpers, this one did have a pretty high rating on Amazon. Now, for these bumpers that are kind of like this, a common complaint is that for some people, when they say they've done the install and they put their tailgate down, that it kind of rubs or hits right here against this part of the bumper. Well, that would be not cool for that to happen. To me, that would suggest the bumper is made to the wrong size and just won't work at all. Because we can't have the tailgate hitting or scratching or rubbing paint off. So the first thing I want to do here is I'm going to measure this open space between those ends for the tailgate. So look at this right here. I'm seeing right about 57 inches. So going from the one end where it kind of goes up at 90-degree angle, this wall right here, one end all the way there to this. Anyway, 57 inches on the actual bumper itself. Always good to measure before you really start the job. Yep, there it is, a hint over 56.5. So hoping that will do the job. As long as it's going to clear, that will do it. Anyway, so I'm measuring first. It looks like that should be all right. Now, something else to note, I was looking at those holes in the middle, that right here we have these two bolts. These are 19, I think, 19 millimeter, but two big bolts right here, and those are actually going to bolt on and come down here, need to be replaced. So, like a chump, I didn't know that there are actually some nice little plastic bolt covers you can get. They'll pop over here and pop over there and make it look nice. So I've been actually driving along like this. But if you do have your stock bumper with this, plastic cover here, and it looks like this, and you don't know, like I did, or did not know, yeah, there are two sort of round covers you can buy as a pair. They're pretty cheap, just a few bucks. It'll pop on and hold that. Look nice. Also maybe stop some of the rust there. But these two holes in the middle are going to be important because those are some big mounting points right there. Now you can see that I've got the factory tow package with trailer hitch, and that was a bit of a concern. Can I keep this on, remove the current standard bumper, and then put on an aftermarket bumper? I've checked this out. I've done a bit of research. I've even contacted the company. It should fit, but will it fit? That's what we're going to see. Now, looking underneath my truck, you can see here's the tow hitch right here. And we see these mounting bolts here, and I believe these two right here are going to be the ones that I'll be removing to take off the bumper. Of course, the same pair on the other side, and along those two 19 millimeter ones that are in the center. So those are really all you need to take off, and these should be where the other bumper will bolt back in. And of course, the some electrical connections will have to be undone. But this is really kind of where to start, is right there. And we'll see if this will all fit together and work. Now, for a bumper in front, I have the Body Armor 4x4 front bumper. That's what you see right here. Nice and heavy duty, good mounting right there. And they do make a rear bumper, but it's over $750. And honestly, it doesn't look that great. So we'll try and see what we have here, and see if this one will work with our friend here to help us along. Now, I mentioned that I did have some instructions, and as far as talking about how bad the instructions are, here we are. It's just a 2-page color printout, nothing on the other side. But I do like this step 1 that says, remove the original bumper. Okay, sounds good. But anyway, I plan to figure this out and walk you all through it, the installation process, and we'll see if this works or not, and if it's going to be worth the money. Now, since on the instructions, step 1 is remove your bumper, I guess that's what we need to do here. And I'll show you the best way to do that. Now, before we get any big things done here, one important thing might be to get some little things done. So right here we've got these the license plate lights, and these are aftermarket ones that I have put on. They have a little red LED right there, plus a nice bright light for the license plate. What I'm going to do is just take these out, and these should just kind of pop out there with a little screw, the same way that the OEM ones go on. Well, I figure we'll just kind of pop these out and then get the wiring disconnected. That way we can easily get the bumper out when it's time. This is what your standard OEM license plate lights are going to look like. You can see there's kind of hold in with a clip right there, and there's that screw in the front, and then you just have the place where the bulb goes in. So these should pry off here from the front. There we go. Let's pop that out. And that's about it. And this is what you're left with. So your bulb would normally plug in there. You probably want to take that out if you have a bulb in there. And then now there shouldn't be any sort of wired or electrical connection to the bumper. Let's kind of slip that back in there. Now we can look at what it takes to get the bumper itself off. There's our other one. And I guess it looks okay in there. A little bit of dielectric grease would not be a bad idea. For the bolts that are holding the bumper on, we've got these right here, which, as has been mentioned, are 19 millimeter right there. These are really stuck on tight. So I've shot a bit of penetrating oil there, and we're going to see what we can do about those. But then we have the ones underneath. Getting these 19s out may be the toughest part of the job. They are stuck in there, and you may need a big monster like that. This and an impact wrench, and you have to hold on to the nuts at the bottom. So two-person job, definitely to help out right here. Now we've got to get out those 17s from underneath. They're pretty tight, but not as bad as these. Now with all these bolts removed, it's not going to fall off. It's still holding on pretty tightly. So you might need a pry bar to kind of pull it out from where it's kind of wedged in there nice, but there shouldn't be any more bolts actually holding it on.
Almost got this side.
Yeah, that moved a lot. So that's what it'll look like. There's the factory trailer hitch still in there, and all the usual wiring. And so we're hoping is that the new bumper will just fit on right around that. Now with everything all exposed, might be a nice opportunity to clean things off, particularly if you see any rust.
Oh yeah.
A nice wire brush, get in and get all that out. These places that never see the light of day. Once again, here were the two bolts holding it in on either side, right there, and those are the ones that hold the tow hitch to the frame. That's what we look like with no bumper, but the factory hitch still in there. Okay. So on the hardware here, the bolts here are actually 18 millimeter, but the nuts are 19 millimeter. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So going to be a bit different than the original hardware that that held the OEM bumper on. So here's the bracket, and the threads are actually on the old bumper. And so this is the hardware that comes with the new bumper, and you can see how we have washers and a lock washer and a nut here. So you're going to need all that because these are going to go and mount in here, but you don't have any threads for them to thread into. So what's going to hold it on is this system here of lock washer and the nut at the end. So that's what we're looking at to put them back on the original mounting brackets here. Because of the 8 bolts needed to go in here, we decided to go ahead and put these on before fitting it. So you need a really big Allen wrench like this to hold these in and tighten them this way. And then of course we have the back side. That's going to be like that. Again, 19 millimeter on the bolts. This is all nice and tightened up. They have a big thick lock washer in there as well. So that should keep those on now. Okay, definitely at least a 2-person job here. The instructions say 2 to 3. The initial fit, pretty easy. Slid right on. This sort of mounting bracket in here, had to kind of push that a little bit. It's kind of tight against the bracket in the truck, but it fit in there just fine. And we're starting with these vertical bolts right here, the ones that were the big 19s on the OEM bumper. And I'm really glad it has a mounting place for those, so you can see them coming through right there. Here's what it looks like underneath. So there's a good bit of leeway here as far as being able to position everything. So and we got the bolts just fitting there loosely, these 2 vertical ones, and these will mount to this top horizontal mounting area from the tow hitch. So those fit right on there very nicely. Well, we just about have it in here. We've been tightening the 2 bolts on this side and the other 2 bolts on that side, leaving these bottom ones, these bottom vertical ones here last, because those are the easiest ones to do. One little problem that we did notice with the bolts is that, and we see some of the new hardware right there, the new washers are really kind of too small for the holes in the brackets of this new bumper. So you're probably going to have to find some washers that are a little bit bigger, otherwise they'll kind of start to slip through. It's tough to align them and make them work. But that's kind of what it looked like there. So they kind of screwed up with their washer size. Should have been a little bit larger outer diameter to more easily cover the hole, because they have a good bit of play in the hole back and forth, so you can adjust where the bumper goes. So that's the one issue with the hardware we found. Now to tighten up these last 2 vertical bolts right here, you'll need a 19 millimeter socket at the top, and then an adjustable wrench or an 18 right in here, up there. But the tire may be in your way. So if you lower the tire, then you'll have enough space to put a wrench up in there and get that. So now those are all tightened up there. That should be it. So those last bolts are in and the bumper's all on. Looks pretty good. Now the important thing here, as we lower the tailgate and see, we do have clearance. Barely have some clearance, but it's good right there. And there's a bit more space you can see right there. Now this could be just problems in manufacture. It's not quite symmetrical. Could be my truck's a little off. So anyway, a bit more clearance here. It's not really noticeable unless you get in and look really closely, but the main thing is to see, will the tailgate clear and not rub against the metal? I can see that it will. So there's no problem right there. And see, that's the closest tolerance we have right in there, and it still should work. And there it is, all installed. Trickier bit of work than I might have expected, but the main bits are pretty straightforward and pretty easy. So a couple things I'm looking for. I do have these tail light guards on, and you can see we still have clearance here. So we can see about the amount of clearance I have on this side, right here. And if we look here to the other side, we see I have much less clearance. So somehow the whole thing sits a little bit higher on the right than on the left. There's not really any other way we could have adjusted that. It could be tolerances are a bit loose. Could be my truck's frame is a little bit off. The thing is, you don't really notice it visually. It looks all right. A few things I will say that, so here are the license plate lights. I have aftermarket ones here that are LEDs, but they're going to fit. They fit in just like the standard OEM ones. And you have the hole here, except on your OEM bumper, you've got threads where you can just screw it in. There are screws. The screw's not going to work because it's too small for the hole here. And it's just a hole with no threads. So probably you're going to need to get a bolt with a nut and then kind of put it in that way. Same thing with the license plate frame. You're going to need a bolt with a nut in the back. It's a little tough to get to. It might be easier to do it before you put the bumper on. But those are the main issues there. Getting other little things tightened up and all the bolts in place was a little bit tricky, but it's all fitting in. The tailgate has clearance, and it looks good. Looks pretty nice and sturdy as well. Here's the original hardware that was not used. These are the tall, long 19mm bolts that are on the bumper going vertically. And then we have these that hold it on underneath to the trailer hitch, where that bolts in, right there on the frame. So those are really all that you have. And you really can't use these because there's nothing to thread it into with the new brackets. So you need the hardware as shown. And we used all the hardware. Now the one thing yet to be done is regarding these lights here. There are 4, 2 on each side, LED, sort of LED cubes that are mounted in there. And you can see they just have their wiring hanging out like this. So those will need to get wired up if I want to use them, but that's a video for another day. I'm wondering about wiring them into my reverse lights so they come on then, or to a sort of manual switch so that I can just manually turn them on and off, which might be a nice thing to do. What I'll probably do is these will need to be spliced together and connected. A nice idea is perhaps I could run them through this channel here of the trailer hitch. Run them, splice them together to some new longer wire. Run that through and then have it come out the other side and splice it in with ones there. So we'll see how that goes, but like I say, that will be another video. This is just the installation of the bumper, and I gotta say, I am pleased with it. You can see sort of the fit and finish here, how it goes in with the rest of the truck. So it looks pretty decent. For the price, it certainly is good. And it will work with your trailer hitch, your OEM trailer hitch. It'll work with your tailgate. At least if you get it on right, it won't rub. And even things like these aftermarket lights, or light guards, it fits there as well. So overall, I would say a good purchase. I'm going to recommend this one.